What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brian and I are going to have a great show for you this Tuesday and get you ready for the betting week. Brian, it's good to see you, buddy. How was your weekend, man?
Good to see you, Alan. My weekend was good. How about yourself?
Man, it was good. I can't complain at all. Pretty uneventful. I mean, nothing really too exciting, to talk about, but we've got some really nice weekends coming up. Next weekend, obviously, being the big one. We got the NFL Draft and the Kentucky Derby. So that's going to be fantastic. And let me say, everybody, welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell of CBS Sportsline, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Everybody, make sure download. If you haven't yet, download the BetMGM app. Use promo code A to Z Sports to receive a risk-free bet of up to $600. I assure you, it works. I've used it. It's fantastic. There's no better feeling, Brian, than going into a bet knowing that even if you lose, you get your money back.
That's
right?
A pretty good bet.
There's no better feeling than that.
No.
Yeah. So that's BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, it's good to see you again, buddy. Let's go ahead, open the show. Let's start breaking down some bets, and let's talk some NFL. We haven't been able to do that in a little while, but we've got a pretty big event people might know, known as the NFL Draft, coming up next weekend. We also saw sportsbooks drop their NFL win totals for this season. They dropped those late last week, and what we want to do here, really to just start things up, is talk about what bets that we have going in the NFL right now. Whether that be on the NFL Draft, whether that be NFL win totals. And we both got some really good numbers. And Brian, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and start this thing off. So, so last week we talked about the NFL Draft. I've got a couple bets that we've already discussed. I've got Travis Etienne, the first running back drafted, plus 165. He's pretty much, it's either going to be him or what's his name from Alabama?
Well, Najee or the North Carolina guy, Devontae Williams, I want to say.
Yeah. How did I forget Najee Harris's name? Yeah. So I'm pretty much banking on that. I think that Travis Etienne is going to get quite popular here in the next 10 days or so. I've also got under 4.5 wide receivers drafted in the first round at plus 190 because, again, this is a very heavy wide receiver draft. So I could see teams that need a wide receiver, the Tennessee Titans being one of them, that says, you know what, we can wait. We don't have to spend our first round pick on it. So I am banking on the under. That is at plus 190. I also have some team bets going. I've got the Titans first pick being linebacker at plus 900. I've also got the Falcons first pick being a tight end. I'm pretty much banking on if the 49ers draft Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whoever at quarterback, that the Falcons, their new head coach, new GM, are sitting there saying, look, we've got a generational player, Kyle Pitts. So I'm gonna ride that one, not for a full unit or anything, but I'm gonna ride it at plus 160. So NFL draft,
the Falcons to take a tight end is plus 160.
Yep. And,
I totally endorse that one as well.
Yeah, and the surprising part is that it's the second, quote unquote favorite, so to say, for the Falcons in terms of position. The first one is quarterback.
Right. And what's that odds? Like even money, or
I think it's like plus 120, somewhere around there. I think I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. I'm rolling with tight end on that one. So, any NFL draft bets that you're seeing so far? Anything that you like?
Well, we named a few in previous shows, and I fully endorse the Falcons taking a tight end at plus 160. So I co-signed that one with you. But I was going to talk about how the Jags and under 6, and I look at their schedule. Obviously, the Texans are way down this year. So they have a chance in 2 games against the Texans. I think they lose.
You're talking about win total.
What now? I'm talking a win total.
Go ahead. Yep.
Is that all right?
Oh, yeah. I just want to clarify. Yeah.
So it's under 6.5 on Jags, and it's a minus 120 price. So they would have to win 7 to lose this bet. Okay, I'll give them a chance in both the Houston games. I'll give them a chance at Cincinnati, although that's a road game. And Trevor Lawrence's first career start on the road for rookies, not a good thing. But I give him a chance because I'm not sure if Joe Burrow will be 100% by then. I give them L at the Colts. I think they lose to the Colts at home as well. I think they lose both games to the Titans. They get Buffalo at home. They'll be an underdog. Miami at home. I mean, I'm not, they'll have a chance, but I think they'll be a dog. Arizona at home, well, it depends on how Trevor's playing, but in terms of being a dog, that'll be a tight line probably. And they get, what are they just showing all the homes and then they're away? Okay. They're all at home in a row. Okay. Then they get San Fran and Denver at home. I mean, they can beat Denver at home, probably will. San Fran, not so sure about that one. I'll give them a chance at the Jets, but at Seattle, at Tennessee, and the Falcons, I'm liking the under 6.5. I just think rookie quarterback, I think Trevor will be good, but I think their coach will be garbage, and they've been garbage forever. I don't have the exact numbers, but their unders on their win totals have been cashing on a pretty much yearly basis other than that year when they had the great defense with Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, and they got the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, your not so subtle hate of Urban Meyer really cracks me up every time that it comes up. It's noticed. Let me say this. I've got multiple NFL win totals that I'm playing right now, but I've got a trivia question for you, for the audience, for everybody. There was one team last year. You were talking about, whether, the Jaguars are going to be a favorite, underdog, et cetera, in games this season. There was one team in the NFL that was an underdog in all 16 games of their schedule last year.
It was either the team was. It was either the Jets or the hold on.
It's a surprising team. I'll say this. It is from the AFC, and it's an AFC West team.
The Broncos?
Bingo. They were an underdog in every single game. Wow. And the Colts were a favorite in every single game last year. So it's kind of weird how that worked out, but I like seeing quirks like that. So back to the NFL win totals. I've got multiple here. Look, we're talking about a 17-game schedule this year. I'm looking at the Chiefs over 12. Again, we look the last 8 years, the Chiefs have hit their over total all 8 years. But again, even if the Chiefs lose 5 games, I still push. Okay. We've got this at a decimal number. So I don't think that they're going to lose 5 games in the regular season to begin with. But even if they do, if they lose 5, I push. So I'm riding with the Chiefs on that. The Browns over 10. I think that Cleveland could arguably be the best team in the AFC North, with Baltimore. I think Cincinnati takes, a step up, but they still got work to do. I'm not believing in the Pittsburgh Steelers whatsoever, and I'll get to them in just one second. I've got the 49ers over 10. I've got the Steelers under 9. I think this is going to be the first year where Mike Tomlin has his first ever losing season as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's never done that before. I've got the Cowboys under 9.5, and I've got the Falcons over 7. So just to bring some NFL talk into it, because I miss it, you miss it, we all miss it. That's where we're at, and we'll recap. We'll put those in the chat. Just want to say, everybody, Matt, Alex, Jameson, Danny, appreciate you guys jumping in the chat here. Everybody tuning in. Seriously, we really do appreciate you. Everybody, thank you so much again to BetMGM for sponsoring the show. Make sure that you download their app, use promo code A to Z Sports, and get a $600 risk-free bet. Okay, Brian. So now that we talked about that, and we'll talk more. Because the NFL draft obviously starts next Thursday. So we've got 2 more shows, this Friday and next Tuesday to break those down. So we'll get more NFL talk going. But let's make some picks for today. What can we make money off of right now? A segment that we call 2 for the Money. And Brian, I want you to go first. What are the 2 picks? What 2 picks do you have that we're hitting and cashing on tonight?
We're going to go with the Knicks at MSG, -5.5 to a Charlotte team that is riddled with injuries. The Knicks have won 6 consecutive games. They've actually covered in 9 straight games, winning outright in 7 of those. The only 2 outright defeats in their last 9 games. They lost by 4 combined points. They lost by 2 at Boston and by 2 at Brooklyn. So Julius Randle and company are absolutely on fire. On the flip side, Charlotte, LaMelo Ball, although they did get some good news. They're hoping he's going to be back in the next 7 to 10 days. but that doesn't matter tonight. He is still out. He's still the favorite to win Rookie of the Year honors. He was a huge favorite before he got hurt. He was averaging 15.9 points, 6.1 assists, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.6 steals per game. So he's out. Gordon Hayward remains out for Charlotte. He was averaging 19.6 points per game, 5.9 boards, 4.1 assists. Malik Monk, 13.1 points per game, remains out. Devontae Graham has missed back-to-back games for the Hornets. He's questionable tonight. He averages 14.2 points and 5.2 assists per game. Charlotte had lost 4 in a row, both straight up and against the spread, but they snapped that losing streak on Sunday night. They beat Portland at home, but Portland was without perennial all-star Damian Lillard in that game. So I'm going Knicks -5.5 versus the Hornets. Do you want me to get both of mine, or you want to do one and come back?
No, you let it rip. Keep going. I like it. What you got next?
All right. Let's go with the Atlanta-Orlando over, and I see our friends at BetMGM have it at 217.5. This is the second lowest total of the season for the Atlanta Hawks. When Trae Young and the only total they've had less than this was when Trae Young and Gallinari and a bunch of guys were out. So when Trae Young has been in the lineup here lately, and he did miss 2 games, so I'm skipping over those 2 games when he was out because he's in tonight. The last 10 games Trae has played, Atlanta has had at least 227 combined points. So 9.5 points higher than the total we're looking at tonight at 217.5. And the over is on a 4-0 run for Orlando and has hit in 8 of its last 10. So Atlanta, Orlando over 217.5, and the Knicks -5.5 at MSG and NYC against a banged up Charlotte squad.
I like it. And our friend Music City Bets in here kind of agrees with you. 217.5, a good number for a Hawks game. Yeah, pretty much everything that you just read through, in terms of your data. Yeah, that looks like a pretty strong one. I'm going to go in baseball today. I've got 2 plays there. I'm going with the St. Louis Cardinals +1.5 against the Washington Nationals. Now, look, I think St. Louis wins this game outright, but I'm just going to take the juice and ride the 1.5 here. You look at St. Louis. They're 62% straight up in 3rd games without a day off. This really has been their bread and butter in terms of when their bats come alive. And you look at the Washington Nationals, they're only 38% straight up this year. I know that they're playing at home, and last year they did have some success against St. Louis, but I'm riding with the Cardinals on this one. Again, I think that they win straight up, but I'm going to take the 1.5 run line and possibly parlay this with my next pick as well, just to kind of even that out. And you're probably looking at +200 somewhere around there. I'm going to ride the Rangers and Angels over 8. Okay, so you look at Texas, they're 66% to the over this season on the road. They've had zero problem playing at anyone's stadium. I like how the Rangers have approached that. And then 2, you look at Shohei Ohtani. They've hit the over, I think, twice in both of his starts this year. So yeah, like I feel good with a number of 8 there. So take a look at that. It might be 8.5 now. I know that number's been moving back and forth this morning, but yeah, I feel comfortable with either of them. I think that we're going to get a game that's probably 6-5, 5-4, somewhere around there. So even if you get the 8.5 and you've got to get to 9, I kind of do feel comfortable, obviously, with that as well. So yeah, really quickly, Brian, run me through what 2 picks do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go Knicks -5.5 at home to Charlotte, and Atlanta hosting Orlando. Let's go over 217.5.
Nice. All right. Yep. And I got the St. Louis Cardinals +1.5 against the Nationals, and I've got the Rangers and Angels over 8, 8.5, depending on what number that you get it at right now. So jump into our next segment here. We're going streaking, and this is really where we just kind of take a look across sports of any league and just find trends that we're seeing, just streaks, trends, interesting information that you might know, you might not know, but could definitely help you out in terms of your betting, especially if it's a sport or a team that you might not pay attention to regularly. And we'll just kind of go back and forth on this one, Brian. So the first one that I have is this. The Phoenix Suns, okay, our favorite young Phoenix Suns out west, all right? They're a combined 7-0 this year against LeBron, Embiid, Luka, and Giannis.
Wow, that's impressive.
And very impressive. So not only are they leading the NBA in terms of their against the spread number, they're winning games against
the big boys.
Exactly. Right. Like this Suns team is for real. So that's the first one that I got. What are you seeing, buddy? What are you seeing out there?
Well, I mentioned the Knicks have won 6 in a row, and they've covered 9 in a row. And going back to February 3rd of 21, they are 27-9 against the spread. On the flip side, we've got a Sacramento team that had lost 9 in a row. They snapped that losing streak at Dallas Sunday night, but they're still only 1-9 straight up in their last 10, and they're 3-7 against the spread during that stretch. I know I mentioned this one the other day. I'll just update it. The under has cashed at a 20-8 clip for the Mavs in their last 28 games. And OKC, with last night's loss to Washington, they have lost 11 in a row. They're 2-9 against the spread in that stretch. Now that's with yesterday's game closing at 12.5. They lost by 12. I had gotten it in the morning, so it was a push for me with Washington minus 12. And 9 of OKC's 11 losses have been by double-digit margins. I also mentioned Orlando having cashed the over in 4 straight and 8 of its last 10. But as for the Magic on their sides, they are in a 1-8 straight-up slump. 3-6 against the spread in those 9, and I'll even sneak one baseball in just because.
Oh, okay.
My buddy Ben Fox over at VSiN, formerly of ESPN Chalk, he tweeted this. I guess it was yesterday. I didn't realize this is crazy. Dodgers have been favored in 96 straight games dating back to the last game of the 2019 season, and they've been favored in 134 of their past 136. Now, he did not elaborate with any of the results to those games, but I just thought that was a long time for a baseball team to be favored every game. I mean, not even one pitching matchup made them an underdog. That's wild. Yeah, it is. And you know what? I'm glad that you said that because it goes right into to my next one. You know, first off, that's an insane stat. I mean, for baseball especially, like you said, you know, pitching matchups. I mean, it's incredible. Damon Boswell in the chat says the Dodgers will be favored in every game the rest of the season. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it goes in perfectly to my next stat. And we talked about this Friday, okay? The Dodgers and the Royals entering the weekend were the only 2 teams in Major League Baseball not to lose a series this season. You remember we talked about that on Friday? Well, I missed that trivia question, yes.
Yeah, guess what they did this weekend?
They lost their series?
No, they both won their series.
Oh, right? They both won.
That's what they do. So I'm still riding it. Now, keep an eye on the Royals, going up against, I believe they were, playing against Tampa Bay last night, and they had some erroneous errors all over the field. It was a really, scoreless game until the 5th, and Tampa Bay slowly started to open that up. But regardless, keep an eye on those 2. And, again, not that, anybody's out here betting series, so to say. You don't really see sportsbooks offer that. But it goes back to exactly what you're saying. The Dodgers are favored, and they're favored for a reason. Like, they tend to win games. They're not going to win every single game, but, that stat alone, I mean, it just goes to show, look what they did last year as well. That when you go into a 3-game stretch, they're probably going to win 2 out of those 3, right? So keep an eye on your juice. But if you're kind of playing, that kind of strategy, saying, look, if they're playing 3 games, in a Friday, Saturday, Sunday stretch, I'm going to bet them all 3, just money line straight up to win. Again, watch your juice because it could get out of hand. I'm not saying that that's a successful strategy, throughout the year, but just keep those in mind. Those 2 teams, they tend to win those series. All right, Brian, your next one. What you got? Okay. We jumping into NBA or more streak? No, not yet. All right, so I've got one more. Let me give one more. Streak, yeah. All right, so you look at the Chicago Cubs, okay? They've scored 3 or fewer runs in 10 of their 15 games this season. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on their totals. Obviously, if you're playing a total, it has a lot to do with the other team that they're playing. We saw the Braves open up just a can in the first inning. on Chicago. But yeah, keep an eye on that. Again, the Cubs have scored 3 or fewer runs in 10 of their 15 games. D. Owens in the chat, what's up, everybody? And I wanted to say this. They're talking about the Braves and Acuna being out. Yeah, that's tough, man. Like I saw that the other day. He's obviously been their MVP, arguably been the best player in Major League Baseball this season. So hopefully that's not going to be, something that hampers or lingers him, because he was already off to such a hot start. And now that the rest of the Atlanta Braves bats, have kind of woken up, you don't want to see that happen. And then they lose Acuna, because this team, has a lot of big wins ahead of them this year and in the postseason as well. So NBA, let's move. Our last segment of the day, just a nice NBA betting deep dive on the season. Brian, you are our resident NBA expert. What should we know about what is going on in the NBA right now that we need to be paying attention to from a betting perspective?
Okay, I'm going to just run down the top ATS teams right now. Memphis covered again last night as underdogs. They are 36-20 against the spread for the season. Number 2, top ATS teams, Phoenix at 36-21, then the Knicks at 36-21-1, the Clippers at 35-23-1, and then the Jazz at 34-24. Flip side, the worst ATS teams.
Hey, hold on, pause right there.
Yeah.
Right, pause right there. So read those top 5 again to me.
Memphis is the Uno, then the Suns, then the Knicks, then the Clippers, then the Jazz.
Okay, so pause on those 5 right here, and we'll get to the worst in just a second. So those 5, obviously we've seen, the Memphis and Phoenix have pretty much been on fire pretty much all year. We've seen New York, the last, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks have really catch fire. Out of those 5 teams, is there any, injury information that we need to know about? Players that are on the shelf now, players that might be coming back? Are they operating at full strength? What do we need to know about those 5 teams? Any information out there?
Yeah. So Memphis, they've done a lot of this great ATS work lately without several key players, but they got a bunch of them back last night. They got DeAndre Melton back last night. They got Brandon Clark back last night. They got Justice Winslow, and Jaron Clark, who is a big-time player, lottery pick several years ago, has not made his season debut yet, but he's supposed to come back later this week. So right on with that question. That's good stuff. But now on the negative side, Jonas Valanciunas, who's averaging, I had it in my column yesterday, it's like averaging better than 17 points and like 12 rebounds and change per game. He got a concussion. He was out. I'm not really sure about his prognosis. I mean, I don't think he's going to be out for an extended period, but he might be out the next game or two until he gets cleared. In terms of the Knicks, well, Mitchell Robinson's out and Alec Burks is out right now, but they've played fine without those 2 guys. The Clippers, other than Patrick Beverley and Serge Ibaka, I think they'll be full strength tonight. But anytime they're on a back-to-back, you got to be checking out to see if they're going to rest Kawhi or Paul George just for load management.
So I was going to ask you about Kawhi really quick. Yeah. So Kawhi came back the other night. I think he played 23 minutes. He looked great. But obviously, they weren't going to work him in. So, yeah, is that kind of the plan of you just don't know, what you're going to get out of Kawhi in terms of, playing that game, in terms of even if he does, how many minutes? What are your thoughts there?
Well, he just has that chronic knee issue. And so it's really a season-long thing that they really don't want to play him on back-to-backs. I mean, don't get me wrong, they will every now and then. They just want him healthy at the end of the season. And so, and it's not as bad for Paul George, but he's such a key player that plays heavy minutes. They will occasionally give him the off night or either the first of a back-to-back or the tail end, the second one of a back-to-back. And then the 5th best team was Utah, and Donovan Mitchell sprained his ankle last Friday. And, they haven't given a timetable, but the MRI was no structural damage. So he'll be back somewhat soon, but it might be another week or so. So there's some injuries for those teams.
Nice. Okay, perfect. Now, jump into the bottom 5 of the NBA.
Yep. So the bottom five, the Rockets are the worst at 19-39. Cleveland 23-34. Indiana 23-34. Toronto 25-33, and then New Orleans, Sacramento, and Milwaukee 25-32. And I'll do again what you asked for the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please.
Toronto. Okay, they are basically resting. Kyle Lowry is going to be a free agent. They didn't trade him before the deadline, so they're wanting to keep him healthy. They think they can be a part of a sign and trade and get something back this offseason. So Lowry hasn't been playing at all. Van Vliet has not been playing much, and Fred Van Vliet has had a breakout season. And they're resting Siakam, who's probably their best player. They're resting him a little bit as well. You just kind of got to check that game to game. As for Cleveland, Sexton and Garland have been playing mostly. The good young backcourt. Kevin Love's back. Jared Allen had a concussion. He's back. So Larry Nance Jr. is back. So Cleveland's pretty much back to full strength. Now, Indiana, their big man, Miles Turner, he's now out indefinitely. That's a big deal. I want to say he's number one in the NBA in blocks. He's averaging better than 3 blocks a game, 12 points and change. So that cover. And then Sacramento, Milwaukee. Miami had Jimmy Butler out for a second straight game last night. So I'm not sure when he's going to be back. That's an ankle. He's not going to be out too long. And
what about Houston? All right, like if I don't know anything about the Houston Rockets, right? Like say I haven't watched a Rockets game all year, but I see, that they're the worst team in the NBA in terms of against the spread numbers. Am I going into this saying, look, I'm just going to fade them? Like I'm going against, Houston. Obviously the number has a lot to do with it. But I mean, what are your thoughts on playing a Rockets game? Like, what are we seeing out of them? Are they just openly just tanking? Like they're just finished? Like they thrown the towel in?
Well, they had that little stretch where they lost like 20 in a row, and I think they were 3-17 against the spread. They've been a little bit better here lately. They got Kelly Olynyk at the trade deadline, and Olynyk, especially for, I don't do many player props other than the Super Bowl or here and there occasionally, but Olynyk's been putting up good numbers for them. They beat the Magic the other night. They also had a cover against Phoenix, so they haven't been as bad lately. Yeah. Let's see, 2, 2, 3, 4. They're only 4-5 against the spread in their last 9, so they have not been an automatic fade here lately. They got Christian Wood back. He's pretty good along with Olynyk, and but Eric Gordon's still out. I mean, they're still a garbage team, but they've shown a little life, and I wouldn't say they're straight up automatic fade right now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, because I'm just going to be honest. I was trying to find something to where I could just supplement a little extra income. You know what I mean? All right.
Well, I mean, I would say that the automatic fade right now is Oklahoma City. That's what my automatic fade has been, like 5 games in a row. I pushed with it last night, which was a little disappointing. But that's the team I've been fading.
Nice. Okay. So, all right. Appreciate that. That's good info to have. Now, before we end the show, let's just recap the bets that we have going today. So again, quickly, Brian, run us through what are your 2 picks that you have going today or tonight?
Yeah, Knicks -5.5 at home to an injury-riddled Charlotte squad, and then over 217.5 Orlando at Atlanta. Let me quickly mention, just saw some breaking news. UCLA's Johnny Juzang is going to test the NBA waters, but not sign with an agent. And Georgia's Savine Wheeler, first-team All-SEC by the coaches, 5th in the nation assist, led the SEC in assist. He is doing like Mac McClung from Texas Tech. He's entering the NBA draft, not signing with an agent, and simultaneously entering the transfer portal. So Wheeler and McClung are the 2 hottest guards out there for colleges in the transfer portal, and Mick Cronin is praying Johnny Juzang comes back.
I bet he is. Also, I'm glad that you said that. Anybody that's looking at betting the Dodgers upcoming, keep an eye on Mookie Betts. I believe that he's just been ruled out for, I think, the remainder of the series against Seattle. I'm not sure exactly how long, but just keep an eye on that before you place that bet down on any Dodgers games. Just keep an eye there. My 2 picks that I'm going tonight, both in Major League Baseball, I've got the St. Louis Cardinals +1.5 against the Washington Nationals. Again, I think that the Cardinals win this game outright, but I'm going to ride with the juice on that one. Also, I've got the Rangers and Angels over 8.5. Well, 8, but it might be 8.5 depending on where the number sits. As of right now, there's been some fluctuation, but I would feel comfortable with that 8.5 as well. So, Brian, that's the end of our show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Everybody in the chat, we really do appreciate you. Let us know what picks that you're riding tonight. Hit us up on Twitter. We always talk on there. I want to see what you all are playing tonight. And afterward, I like recapping what games we hit, what games we didn't. That's always a lot of fun. Hopefully that we can all hit them tonight. So for Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com, I'm Alan Bell, CBS Sportsline. Thank you so much, and let's cash some tickets.
Good luck with your bets, everybody.